Hi, and welcome to Together, the podcast where we teach and guide you into the practice of sacred relating. In today's episode, we are going to be diving into how the king initiates the queen from fighting him to receiving him. Courtney, why don't you tell our listeners what they're going to be learning today?
Yeah, we're going to talk about, what is the initiated feminine look like? What's the uninitiated feminine? What's the process of how the masculine initiates? And we're really going to dive into also how the masculine's practicality is actually an invitation to the feminine to contain. How in order to initiate the feminine, the king must receive her oracle while also calling out that little girl. And there is an absolute necessity that in this initiation process that the feminine wakes up her juicy queen in the way that she invites and relates with the masculine and calls him in.
Yeah, and you're going to want to make sure that you stay till the end because we're going to go into how the masculine's sex drive invokes and initiates the woman into her queen.
I'm excited to dive into all of this.
Yeah, so why don't we start off? I'd love to hear from your world, from the realm of the feminine. Mm-hmm. What do you see in your journey and with other women in your life, mm-hmm. with clients that we've had? What does an uninitiated woman look like?
Yes. And I'm going to start with one other little piece that I always like to say whenever we're using words like masculine, feminine. How Mike and I orient to this is we all have masculine and feminine inside of us, and every relationship has a different dynamic of masculine, feminine. Mike has lots of feminine qualities. I have lots of masculine qualities. And we really orient to this from a perspective of biology and the way that hormones and the way that we're physiologically designed and the different experiences of the body shape how we show up in the world, and just even through, the way that our brains developed, over time and through the generations. And so we're going to be speaking in this way of what we notice happens for the majority of women, what happens for the majority of men. And we see this in our work. And please, as you're listening, really keep feeling into what's true in our relationship. Where are we on the spectrum? And we want to give lots of space to say, these aren't absolute truths. This is something that we're noticing. This is something we're experiencing, and really feel into what's true for you. So
important. With
that disclaimer, we're always going to talk about it. There is room for all of us at the table and in this conversation, So what is the uninitiated feminine? The number one that I have embodied a lot in this life. And also that the more I'm becoming initiated and in my queen, I can really see in the feminine around me and be like, oh yeah, this is a big one, is the uninitiated feminine. There's two sides to the spectrum. The one is she is in touch with her emotions. She wants to feel. She wants to be met in her feelings, but she really is in the belief and the lived experience that she believes that she should be able to feel whatever she wants to feel, whenever she wants to feel it, be totally authentic with whatever's alive in her in an uncontained, non-relational way. She feels like she should just be the ocean, feeling whatever she feels, and that everyone else, especially the masculine, needs to figure out how to meet her in however she delivers it and whatever she's feeling in every moment. Another way that she will embody that is, like being annoyed if people don't just receive her however she wants to be received. And there's a flakiness, like in this moment, I want this. In this moment, I want that. So she tends to just follow whatever she's feeling in the moment and has a hard time actually creating things, manifesting things, showing up in a way that leads to creation, because she's just constantly shifting with her moods and her inner experience. It's just kind of like spilling everywhere. And then on the other side of the spectrum is the feminine, who's not in touch with her emotions and is more in that kind of masculine linear energy, which could look like powerhouse, or it could look like shutdown, and a people-pleasy place where she's not really feeling what's really alive for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know for me, I was really in the uncontained, I had people-pleasing tendencies when I was a teenager in that way. And of course, it didn't lead to closeness with the masculine. But I definitely was more the archetype of like very deep feeler. And I really did think on a level the masculine should just be able to meet me in whatever I was feeling. And I didn't know how to contain it. Mm-hmm. And I certainly didn't know that the masculine could help me contain it. Or was here to show me about that. I really felt like being in my feminine was being in whatever I felt, whenever I wanted to feel it, and that I should get to express it and share it as much as I wanted, with as many words as I wanted. This is me being authentic. But it was me not being relational, and that mature queen wasn't online. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah. So, from the masculine lens, what I'd share such a similar experience. What I'd really say is the spilly feminine, where the qualities that I see is very comfortable to take up lots of space and process for hours and hours and hours without a mindfulness or an understanding of the impact on the other person or on the other side. The feminine who's looking from the outside to be taken care of, ultimately. Like, if there is a lack of safety inside, or if there's a lack of feeling met, it's from the outside. It's all because of the outside, mm-hmm. where there's no language of, oh yeah, there's a little girl inside of me. There's a lack of responsibility. There's a lack of acknowledgement of harm and impact. And, mm-hmm. And then that feminine who, the language I would use here is where the feminine's lying. And, this is the other end of the spectrum that you're speaking to, that I've experienced in past relationships, where they're not sharing the whole truth. Mm-hmm. And they pretend that everything's okay, but they're withholding information. They're withholding the deeper experience. They're not being vulnerable, like that other end, which, like, not spilling it all, almost like afraid to take up space or afraid to call out their partner. And the feminine that is really good at castrating. So qualities that I see in an uninitiated woman are lots of shaming and criticism and chipping away, like just this deep critical nature of all the ways she's not being provided for, which is the ultimate kryptonite to the masculine. And also just this quality of caretaker, where, like, the feminine who goes into being the role of mom and wanting to fix everyone and take care of everyone so that she can feel better about it. But it's actually making everyone around her weak, because she's trying to doing all the emotional labor, trying to fix, can't actually, like, another quality I'd say for the uninitiated woman is doesn't have the capacity to hold space for the tender heart of the masculine. Can't actually welcome it, see it as healthy, see it as, a gift to be let in to.
Oh, that's a really important one. Yeah. I would say also the uninitiated feminine is in that place of blaming the masculine. So she tends to, when she's talking about the problems in her relationship, it's this is what's wrong with him. This is what he's not doing. It's all about that.
Yeah.
And she's really in the belief like he needs to shift and then our relationship will shift. It's this like, it's his fault. It's his. Now, this isn't to preface. Sometimes you're with a partner who doesn't actually want to show up for a relationship, and that's different. But if your partner wants to show up for a relationship, but then there's these misses in these places that aren't, feeling good, the uninitiated feminine, she's really pointing the finger. And what I've noticed is she'll often talk about how she's not being met versus wanting to learn about him. Like, so there's like an orientation of this is how he's not meeting me versus, oh, I want to get to know him more. Like, I want to understand what's happening in this place.
Yeah, like if he's not meeting me, what could I possibly be contributing to him not wanting to?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not always a lack of capacity of the meeting. It's like sometimes, and just to name it, one of my mentors, Terry Real, talks about this. He has this modality of, it's called relational life therapy, and it's really focused on the ingredients of what's needed in healthy relationship. And he names it for the feminine that are in this uninitiated woman. This is our language here. It's unsexy. It's not attractive. It's not enticing. It doesn't, there is a repellent to not wanting to provide. Mm-hmm. And so that's.
Yes. And I would say too, the uninitiated feminine, she's having a hard time getting in touch with her worth and her beauty and like letting herself be magnetic and attractive. And now I want to preface this with, there is many ways we can be beautiful and many ways that we can dress ourselves up in many ways. So this isn't like you have to look this way and that's what's sexy, because also men also find many different ways of expressing sexy. It's more, are you letting yourself feel beautiful inside? Are you letting yourself get in touch with the part of you that would want to draw, someone in? Are you in touch with the part of you that's magnetic and radiant and alive, and expressing that and bringing that forward?
Yeah. And naming, while listening to this, if there's pieces coming up of like, oh God, that's me. Like there's no shame here. Like shame might come up for sure.
Yeah.
But just naming, it's not who you are. It's a byproduct of what's happened to you. And like what comes from the generational line and our culture and the impact of the patriarch. And like there's a reason those qualities are there. It's not the essence of who you are, but it's getting to know, are those traits online so that there can be the initiation process and for it to happen. Mm-hmm. And so maybe from this place, like what does an initiated woman look like?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things is she has an inner relationship with her masculine and feminine, meaning she has a sense of responsibility, and I think she understands that the whole kingdom is inside her. So whatever she's experiencing outside is the mirror of what's being needed inside. Mm-hmm. And she keeps tending that. So there's sort of this, like, I got to tend here inside in order to actually show up for what's happening outside, and there's that ongoing orientation. So when something's not going well in the relationship, she's going to orient inside. Okay, what's going on in my inner space, But she also knows that she also needs people and she needs support and she needs relationship too. So she's able to hold both of those things. I really feel like the initiated woman understands that the masculine is in her care. Like he's in her care. Not I'm your mom, but like you're in my care. You matter to me. I want to learn about you. How I talk to you and how I speak about you matters. I want to get to know you. And she's able to be in that level of maturity to explore that and to keep being curious and not to kind of collapse into, that it's something in him, but more like, what do I need to understand here? Yeah.
Yeah. From from my world and my lens, so many qualities that I see in an initiated woman are they're relational. There is a capacity to take responsibility. There is a capacity to acknowledge when spilling happens. There's a sense of responsibility online, and I notice there's, like you just described, there's care online. Instead of I'm a victim, I'm feeling this way because an initiated woman, I notice, is able to lead with vulnerability and be like, hey, like, I'm not feeling met, or I'm feeling scared, or I'm needing some reassurance. So this quality of being able to express what the need is clearly in clear words. Hey, I'm needing this. I'm feeling this, and this is what I'm needing. And I notice this quality where the feminine in her queen energy knows that there is a role and a responsibility to entice, to invoke attraction, not just expect it all to come and be provided, but like that there's a participation in drawing in what's wanted, and in nurturing personal need and care and like self-care, doing what's aligned for, their heart to be online, and then that create a radiance and a magnetism. And then I notice there's this quality of being able, and I'm so grateful to you for this. This has been such a gift for me to really be initiated into the masculine, into my king energy. It actually brings me up into king, is where an initiated woman like yourself in this place can actually hold space for the tender parts of my experience, and also see the strength behind however the human part's expressing. So in little, like we all have these dips and valleys, but if I'm in a dip, this quality of coming forward and sharing, like reminding the king of who he is, reminding him of his power, this capacity to see what is provided for as he's becoming more and more king, as he's in the process of maturing, like where the feminine can really appreciate and name and value what is currently being provided. Like, where are all the places they are being met?
Yeah. Which so requires her to be in her seat and not abandon herself.
Yeah.
That's a real key there, is being in her own seat, having her own back, and understanding that showing up in the relationship and for the kingdom is in her own best interest too.
Yeah.
And she can hold that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I also want to say, and I forgot to mention this in what the uninitiated woman looks like. I think when in the uninitiated woman, she perceives the masculine's desire for sex as a threat in some way, or scary, yeah, or she resents it. She's annoyed at it. She's mad at it. And of course, there can be all kinds of good reasons for that too. And we're going to go into that. So it's not to, again, judge or shame. But as we are in healthy relationship and we let ourselves be initiated, I think the initiated woman, she sees the masculine's sex. She honors the masculine's desire for sex. She honors his sex drive. She honors her own sex drive. She honors the sexual needs that live inside the relationship, and she wants to make space for it and to, again, have it in her care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I notice for an initiated woman, I see this quality of being open to the process of being penetrated by the masculine's power.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see it, and we've talked about this in our journey of like, it can feel scary, and that's a lot, but then doing that personal inner work to be open to seeing what's on the other side of it, like letting that amount of energy in, allowing the pursuit, allowing that like primal part that wants to fuck life also wants to like fuck his queen and like blast her open and to feel received in that deep desire for more, for pleasure, for to invoke pleasure and like to allow that in.
Yeah, like what I hear there too is to be in relationship with her sexuality so closely and first that she gets that that's her sacred dance, and then she brings that to meet what the masculine's bringing, because she has to have that ability in order to actually surrender to that level of power and energy from the masculine, and in that, like tending her temple, like getting enough sleep, like caring for herself, eating good food, tending to the body so that she can actually meet in that way.
Yeah. Getting good sleep.
Yeah.
Connecting with friends, all those important qualities. And the piece that I want to add, I spoke to earlier, but bringing it back because it's so important, is communicating the ingredients and the needs and the nuances to even arrive at that place to be fully penetrated by that full power, like where I felt you just in the full on surrender, like that take me energy. But to get there is, ooh, not that, or oh, like, and that's not just sexual, that's in the day to day, like all the little nigglies of, oh, I noticed that didn't feel really good. What would feel really good is this, and like clearly communicating regularly
her desires,
the needs and the desires, so that the king can actually have the clarity of what to provide, knowing that the masculine energy is very practical.
Yes.
So like, give me the goods, just give me exactly how to say it, how to experience it, how do you want to be touched, like, so that there can be more of that felt sense of, oh, now I can trust my intuition and offer that. Yeah. And then that quality is available to initiate the feminine into her queen.
Yes. Yeah. And so we want to dive into a bit more about what the initiation process actually looks like. And I wanted to share a bit about how I saw, were ways that the masculine initiates. And, oh, a spider. There's a little spider dropping down right in front of me. It's representing weaving the web that we're weaving. So yeah, and then Mike has some really great ones too. One of the things that I want to invite, first of all, this is me talking to the feminine, actually to the masculine too. One of the things that surprised me about a way that Mike initiates me, and again, in previous relationships, I didn't have the self relationship to be able to receive it, and is, it's a very common thing in therapy and in when we're supporting people, that there's that place, right, where the feminine shares her emotions and she feels so hurt when the masculine comes in with like a practical comment or, something matter of fact, often like maybe he's orienting her to a bigger piece of the picture or whatever. And the feminine can feel really hurt by that. Like, why are you not just hearing my emotions? And, there's a place where we need to feel met in the emotions, and where I, for my initiated woman, say, hey, I need you to meet me in my emotions right now. And I make that request, But the other piece that I have found is that when I am able to meet myself in my emotions, and when Mike comes back with something practical or a reflection or something, I've been able to receive it as containment and ground. So instead of, why aren't you joining me in the ocean of my emotions? It's like, oh, he just brought in like a bank. He's banking this. He's going, hey, this isn't the right time to talk about this, or hey, like, have you noticed this piece, And he's banking that energy. It doesn't mean he's saying don't feel. he's just saying, and this, and he's bringing in some banks. And I watch this lots when I watch women and men when we're working with them, that there will be this moment where the masculine from a loving place offers this bank. He's like, oh, I'm going to bring this bank in. I think that will actually help, because I noticed that my partner's maybe drowning in that emotion a little bit, or like it's getting really big and they're actually getting lost in it.
Or about to flood the space, impacting the deeper desire that's being attuned with of connection.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is the thing. She's lost control, and now it's, and the masculine's like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to bank. I'm going to be of service. I'm going to help contain. And the feminine's not able to receive that initiation. She feels missed. She feels angry. You're not meeting me where I want to be met. And there's places where that's needed. But what I want both the masculine and the feminine listening right now to understand, there is a juicy gift that the masculine is handing the feminine in that moment. And for men, for you to understand, to advocate for that a bit. Like there were definitely times where Mike would bring in those banks and I would get kind of like, but I wanted you to meet me in the emotion. And then Mike says back, but I was noticing it was getting spilly, but I was noticing it was starting to feel uncontained. And I'm noticing that maybe we both need a little ground right now. And he would advocate for that. And it was like, oh, he's not trying to shut me down. He's actually trying to come in and help something beautiful get created from what I'm experiencing. He's actually wanting this to lead somewhere, as opposed to me just spinning out in it. And the more that I've been able to receive that place as an initiation, it's like I feel like I'm a river flowing and I'm sharing my emotions, and then I hit this like log wall that Mike brings in. Instead of being like, get out of my way, log wall, I'm like, oh, let's take a look at this log. Oh, that's kind of nice, actually. Oh, it's kind of grounding. Oh, and look, it's guiding me over here. It's like receiving it instead of perceiving it as misattuned, actually receiving it. And where I see this show up so much for women is in motherhood. This is a very common one in motherhood, where the feminine is like the mother's in the mother energy, and she's feeling her children's feelings, and she can feel intuitively, this is what's needed next. And this is what, and she's just in the soup of that. And then the dad walks in and he says something that feels kind of cold and removed and practical. And the mother's like, what the fuck? Like, get with the program, man. Like this, you're not attuning. Like, this is like what, you're not attuning. You're not. And, but what I have learned, and I see this all the time in other couples, what if in that moment the feminine can receive that as an initiation? She's in the soup of motherhood. Masculine walks in and he offers something. It might seem way out of left field, but can you stop and can you really hear him? What happens if you receive it? What if, whoa, he's bringing in a different ingredient that I wouldn't have thought of? Oh, he's helping me see something from a really different perspective. Oh, he's actually helping me be not so enmeshed. Oh, he's actually inviting there to be a little more space and a little more adult online to feel this more with perspective. And so the uninitiated feminine can feel like you're cold and mean. And the initiated feminine can be like, oh, but what's the ingredient he's bringing? And I know for me, now I actually have a lot of moments where Mike comes in and brings this kind of practical, more removed energy. And I'm grateful because I'm like, oh, he's going to help me sort this out. He's going to help me find that more masculine space. But I have to receive it. I have to get curious about it. I have to be grateful for it first for it to initiate me. And what I have found is Mike is helping me learn through receiving him in that over and over and over. He's helping me learn how to be in my feminine flow, be in the mother flow, and refine. He's teaching me how to refine the energy and how to direct it more, and how to find something that's actually a little more helpful. And before, this is a perfect example. Do you remember how when I first met Mike, because I've been one of those people that I can spin out an emotion a lot, and I'm a deep feeler, and it's a big gift of mine. But one of the things that can happen is I can kind of wash everyone away. Like people will just be like, wow, it's amazing how much you feel is what people will be feeling. But then I haven't been met with enough guidance. And I remember Mike would come in and he would like make a joke or like lighten the field or want to like almost like change the subject. And I remember one time I looked at him and I was like, don't take my sadness from me. Don't you take my sadness from me, because that's how I was experiencing it. Like, don't try to cheer me up. Like, meet me in the pain, man. But then I started to realize like, oh, actually, like I am needing help. Like Mike's coming in and saying, hey, you don't have to go so deep into that sadness. Hey, you don't actually have to swim around in there for 2 days. Come on out. And it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It doesn't mean that my sadness is wrong, but he's just inviting, like, could we shift the energy in this moment? And that has been such a gift in mothering and such a gift.
And that's a place so many women, and, in the beginning, there's still moments where it happens where it's experienced as you won't let me feel my feelings. Mm-hmm. And where there can be a rage and a fury about that, but it's not about not wanting you to feel your feelings. It's more attuning to the deeper down need of connection and feeling connected, which that's where, hey, bringing in the banks can come in. And instead of watching everything just wash out and people move away and just like, oh God, it's like, we can't hold this. It's actually bringing in like some levity, like, hey, and look where we are right now in this moment, and let's have some fun and get some laughter going in there, just to bring in the medicine of the levity so that it can integrate and not getting like lost in there.
Yes.
It's not to put down or belittle or see it. It's not coming from a place of like, it's a problem, or like you said, it's not wrong, but it's like, I think there's like inside, and this is what I think a lot of masculine are trying to learn how to bring this deeper part of themselves, is there's a wisdom online inside. Their body is giving them feedback of this is getting to be a bit too much. Not that they're too much, but the feelings are just starting to wash out the felt sense of connection, and where the attuning to other is kind of starting to slip away. And I'd say a lot of masculine are trying to learn how to trust that inner wisdom and initiate the feminine by calling it out, by guiding it into a new experience in a way that's received, not as like cutting them off or but hey, let's practice containment. So that there is more connection here.
And one of the things I've appreciated about Mike is he would come in and say like, whoa, stop, or like do that. But then he would say, no, I'm not telling you not to feel. I'm saying, hey, this is like, and he would name that. And then it helped me build trust in that. But, a really common place I see this too. And I remember in the past, like this would have pissed me right off, but now I like can totally receive it is, and it's such a gift, is when I, as a mother, go to Mike and I'm like, oh, I'm upset about this and I'm frustrated about that. And then he's like, well, that part's definitely your shit. Well, I've noticed that, like, I think this is what's going on for you when that's happening with Cedar. And, in the past, I would have perceived that as him not loving me or caring for me. And now I'm just like, ooh, he loves and cares about me so much that he's actually going to help me figure this out.
And share the uncomfortable truth, because to name it, in order to be able to initiate the feminine, I've had to develop a capacity to be okay with being, to receiving anger and fury about calling out the uncomfortable truth in service to love. In service of truth, like itself. It's not bad or belittling or because anything's wrong. but there is a capacity required to be like, oh, they're probably, and I've had to go through this in the beginning. I'm like, you're probably not going to feel met when I call this place out in the beginning, initially. And I'm going to have to see facial expressions and maybe receive some verbal feedback of something about what I'm not or how wrong I am. And, and there's a capacity there that's required to call out these places. Cause it's like, when I imagine, when we talk about the river and the bank, it takes initial force to put a log into the flowing river to guide it. Like that first dropping it in and trying to move the direction of where it's going takes some effort. But once it's placed, then the river responds and it moves around. But just to name, for the masculine listening, you're like, yeah, I've been trying that. It's like, yeah, okay, great. And keep finding ways of communicating it different. And then highlighting the reassurance of it's in service to connection. It's because you love them. Like what I've noticed that's helpful for you is like in present day as an example, if things start to go into that terrain, being like, hey, whoa, not inviting us to go there. I really want us to go over here and like, let's go co-regulate. Let's breathe together. Let's go connect. Oh, and then if the big wave tries to come in again, like, whoa, not inviting that. Like not helpful right now. And then just guiding it back to like connection. Let's soothe and calm down. And oh yeah, there's the intimacy. There we feel connected. It's like in service of that, but learning the art of how to deliver it too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like the feminine for my lens is like the learning of how to receive it. And then the masculine's learning of how do I like build tone and what embodiment practices do I need to know or to do to know that there will be resistance. That's part of it. It's like, it's going to be uncomfortable. They might be disappointed and pissed and angry, but, and this is what I've been so grateful to you for. You always come back so grateful. You always come back with some new insight. You always come back with, oh my God, no one's ever done that for me. Like the first time I felt like I initiated you from little girl to like queen, I was terrified, but it felt empowering. And I remember you coming back being like, no one's been able to do that for me. I have a lot of life energy and no one's been able to hold that. I need that. My soul needs that. I don't want to be going through life with my power just like overruling everyone. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I want to say this especially to the mothers out there, it's a very common thing that the masculine is able to see something you can't. And can you receive it? Because I've had lots of moments where Mike comes in and he's like, yep, we're doing this, or no, we're not doing that. Or, a very common one has been that when I want to transition to Mike to Cedar or Cedar to Mike, our 3-year-old, I want to like be like, okay, now do this with him. And I want to orient Mike to Cedar. Right. And Mike at first was so good at like, he put his hand up and he'd say, hey, I'm his father. I have my own way. Let me do it my way. And then I would watch through gritted teeth and I'd be like, oh God, oh no. And then I would watch and something different would happen with Mike. Like Mike could do that with Cedar. Mike could approach it a different way and it worked. And for me, it was like that place where Mike would just really like, hey, it's going to look different. It's not going to be the same. And learning to, and even that's the initiation, right? Is learning to trust that he has a different perspective that I can't see and let that in and honor and respect it.
Yeah. Like there's a wisdom in the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember just for an actual example and story, there was that time, where it was like, I don't know, maybe it was like 1.5 or 2. And I was starting to watch inside of me, just being in the role of father, like all these new insights and wisdoms coming online. And there's one of those moments we were at the change table and you're like, well, and he's going to need a nap and this, I want you to stay home. And I want it to be like this. And I was like, And I had to get pretty, and just
Oh,
to
yeah,
name
you
like
got
part,
really fierce.
just to name it, part of this initiation for the feminine is if she has, like, if you, and I remember having to find this place in myself, if you are a deep feeler and there's a big wave of energy and it's wanting to, you know, kind of decide how the relationship should be, it takes a lot of big energy to meet it. And I remember in the progression of this, it's more, you know, there's more understanding this and it's more responsive now, but there was a big wave of like, hey, like, I'm his father, and there was a wisdom in, I remember feeling like
Yes.
fierce about it. Like,
and your shoulders, you like
Yeah.
went like this with your shoulders.
there was a wisdom inside of me, and I'm really needing you to trust my process here. I've got him. I'm not being careless. Like, I am here in service to develop my unique relationship with our son. I've got him. And then I remember you was like, whoa. And it felt like you received it.
Mhm.
And then in those moments, like I imagine on your side, there's a deep surrendering of, you know, can I trust the masculine to like go by his own
But that's the thing.
volition?
That energy is what lets me know I can trust you. Because here's the thing. I think to the masculine, it looks like, oh my God, the feminine does not want me to challenge her on this. But what's happening in the feminine is she's like, if you don't fucking challenge me on this, then I really don't trust you. like she's looking for that to know that you're trustworthy.
Yeah.
Because if you can't find that in yourself, you definitely are not going to be able to care for our 3-year-old son. But it doesn't look that way from the outside, right? Like the feminine, every time you meet me like that, that's what makes me trust you. That's what helps me feel like you got us. That's what let me know you had our son. Like I needed you to like put the spear in the ground and be like, oh, I've got our son. And then I'm like, okay, good. Whew, he's got him. But like, if you don't show me that, if you can't be those banks, then I don't know that it's all kind of just words, you know? And I know lots of women that say that, you know, that they're like, when the masculine is able, I've heard so many sisters say, when he's actually able to stand his ground and stand up to her, that's when she can trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though it's intense in that moment, it's actually the thing that she needs.
Yeah.
To trust you.
And that's been my forever, like, unexpected, surprising moments when I bring it. Because inside it sometimes comes from the place of like, that's it. Like, I am here and I will be felt that I'm here. And I'm always surprised, or in the beginning, and still sometimes I'm like, wow, that worked. That she actually now feels safer. She, you know, you actually now are like attracted to me more, and you're like now talking about how you want to pleasure me later. I'm like, what? Like, I thought this is where you're gonna like completely tear me apart. And I think it's important to name that, because what we're really inviting is the process of building capacity in the fire, in the discomfort, naming we are, and we've talked about this, we are a more fiery couple.
Yes.
So this might look different in your relationship. It might be just, I'm going to say something really uncomfortable and there might be hurt feelings in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not be as fiery as our expression, but ours is a bit fiery. And what a gift to have it received. Because, you know, going back to that story, going off and following my wisdom of being a father, Cedar Hat and I went on an epic adventure. You know, all of his needs were met. He was fed. We had like fun. He had his nap in the way that I saw. And coming back so empowered, you know, for my remembering was such a gift for you. Like, oh, and it kind of broke the spell of, he actually does have our son, and there is something different in the way that he does it. And it meets a different, I remember you sharing, oh, that actually meets a different part of Cedar that I can't offer him.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, every time you do that, my body's like, oh, thank God I don't have to mother Mike. Right? Because secretly, as women, we're afraid we're going to have to mother our partner. And there's so much relief when we're like, okay. But this leads into the next piece, is what has allowed me to receive that in you is because you've been able to honor my oracle. So there's this dance, you know, it's like, I need to know that the masculine is going to receive my oracle. He's going to receive the wisdom of my emotions. He's going to hear it and value it. And then when I have enough experiences of that, then I can receive his containment and his ability to actually call out the parts of me that are the little girl. So it's this dance. It's like I need him to receive me in my intuition. I need to know that it's important. I need him to want to listen and understand. And the more that the masculine does that, not only does it create the safety for me to then receive his initiations, but that in itself is an initiation. Like when a man receives a woman's oracle, when he is like one of the biggest gifts Mike has given me is where he's like, oh my God, please tell me what you're noticing. Oh my God, please tell me what you're feeling. Oh, I really want to understand this. That brings on my powers more. It brings on my gifts more. It brings on my life energy more. It brings me into my feminine more. And it lets me be the queen. One of the ways that men can like shut off the initiation is when they won't receive that in her. Because then she can't fully be initiated because it's in the receiving. It's in the masculine receiving it, but then also the masculine being able to call out when it's like, no, I think there's something off there, or no, I think that's your little girl. Because then it's like I get to, as the feminine, use my gifts, develop that oracle, and also know that there's someone tracking and reflecting back to me when it's something I need to look at. And it's like refining my oracle. It's refining my queen. And what I notice is the little girl and these other parts can be a little bit like, oh, I didn't like that, or, oh, that was mean. But the queen is inside like, yes, this is what's needed. She's like, I'm so glad that these ingredients are here so I can better and better tend to the kingdom.
Yeah. And what a important role. Like when this is why we've created this whole platform and the brand of Together. Sacred relationship is not for the faint of heart. And the roles that we end up playing for each other are very unique because it's not as present with all the friendships and all the other relationships. It's more like the light part and the just receiving the gifts, and not that there's not parts to call out and challenge, but in intimate partnership, it's in the day-to-day being and who we're being in the doing. And our intimate partner is we're gonna see all the little things and the nuances of maybe not helpful to connection, maybe not helpful to our child, maybe not helpful to the business. And this process and if you haven't listened to our other episode, I think it's 2 episodes back, or no, we haven't released it yet. The initiation of like how the feminine initiates the masculine.
Yeah, it'll be the episode before this one.
Right before this one. And where, what a role to be in to build tone and capacity to call out these uncomfortable places. But I hope you're hearing even in what we were describing in our example here. And I keep feeling this time and time again. I can palpably notice parts of me maturing and growing up as we do this. Mm-hmm. Like as you receive my initiations, as I receive your initiations, parts of us become more adult. Like, yeah, let me know. I'm so grateful to you where you understand that there's not always this ill intent to control you. Like there is a wisdom to guide you. And, this is really what it's about in this initiation process, is learning how to guide the energy into more connection, into more containment, into more radical self-responsibility.
So,
yes.
What's your technique when you call out my little girl?
That is a great question.
And probably different little girls need different things, right? Just like parenting too.
My process has been a journey to cultivate. I'll just name it what it looks like today. I'll first have the observation of something that feels maybe like the little girl, or where there's a quality happening that's not in service to you or us or the family. I'll notice it first. Then I'll really start breathing into my belly and my pelvis. And then I start going through my own coaching myself and building myself up of, okay, let's just look for a little more evidence. Make sure this isn't me just wanting to, me to feel better and to control this. No, something's really feeling like it's happening. The whispers when I tune in and I ask inside, hey, like, is this a moment to initiate, Courtney? And if it's like, yes, I'm like, to be honest, often it's usually like, shit. Oh, shit. Okay, here we go. And then I start building myself up. Like, we can do this. Where's that warrior? My language here is like, where's the warrior in me? Where's the part that can deal with pushback and maybe a couple little spitfire criticisms and reasons how I'm wrong, and just like prepare myself that might happen. And I'll find places where I've done it, and I'll tap into that as resource. I'm like, I can do this. I've done it. Oh, Courtney's soul does want this. And I'll reassure myself, I'll tend to all the young parts in me that could just get like taken over and collapse in this process of offering over the initiation. And I'll do all of that inner work. Like, okay, little Mike, we're going to tuck you way back and we're bringing the adult online. We're going to do this. This is in the service of love. And I like build all that up till I feel it of like, yeah, I can do this. And then when I can feel it in my body, that's when I start to move towards the delivery. And then I get curious, how could I say this in a way that's in service to connection, knowing that on your side, on the other side, you're really needing to know that I want to be connected, that I am wanting you to feel safe. This is in service of love. And I'll find the way to language the thing I'm about to call out. And then I'll bravely move towards and make eye contact while doing it. And I deliver it from, my power. I deliver it from my spine. Knowing that, how I'm delivering it's so important. And then I go for it. And then I communicate it. And then I have a little, I usually have some preparations of like, if the pushback happens, like how to keep myself safe. Or if I want to, I'll be like, it's okay to call a pause. If it starts to go sideways and the waves like stronger than what I got, it's like pause, stop. Like I would let myself know that that's available. And then I go for it. In the beginning, just to name the process, that's, I'd say, how it looks now. But in the beginning, I'm curious if you remember these moments, my nervous system didn't have the tone yet. And so I would kind of look like a wounded puppy with the tail between my legs, and I'd move towards you. And I would be like, I know I'd lead with vulnerability and be like, I know my body probably doesn't show confidence and strength here. And, I'm a bit terrified of what I'm about to say. And then I would lay the ground, from so much clarity of like what I'm holding in myself that I am aware in here, and then deliver it from there. Because I'd say, a lot of men can be like, I can't do it though. I can't be confident in it. I'm terrified. And like, great, lead with that.
Yes, that's the most helpful thing you do is you'll say, and just to map out an example of this is we were in a bit of a rupture and I was in my little girl. The little girl in me was super pissed because I was wanting Mike to move towards me and he was saying all the words that he wanted to move towards me, but he wasn't moving towards me, and it was making me really pissed. And what I really appreciated is he called it out. Like he said, hey, what did you say? I'm
slightly dissociating. Are you talking about that one?
No, well, yes, but the part where you're like, all these slashes to my soul.
Oh yeah, like right now I'm feeling terror inside and my soul's feeling chipped away.
Yeah.
Chipped away. Yeah.
And, it was helpful for me because I was angry at something that was really happening. Like he was in freeze and shut down and he was saying, I want to connect, but he wasn't connecting. Like that was true. But the little girl in me, her approach was not helpful. And when Mike said that, it was like, right. Okay. Yeah.
I said, just to name that on that one, I said, I'm terrified inside. I'm definitely freezing. And I'm feeling like my soul is being chipped away here. I'm wanting to connect. I just don't know how to do it in a way for you to feel it.
Yes. And that was helpful for me because I was in the place of like, this was my, oh yeah, this guy's saying all the right things and he's not fucking doing it. I was so mad. And I was also had my own stuff going on around how many times in my life I've always needed to be the one that moves towards, you know? And so I had to work with that in myself. But when you said it, it helped me orient like, okay, this is what's happening in him. It's like, oh, and this is what I'm doing with my anger. That's not helpful. And yeah, and then it could instantly help me feel what was happening for you. And that is a form of initiation because then I softened and I realized, yeah, Courtney, like I went inside, yep, you need to move towards Mike right now. Yep. Pull up your big girl pants and do that. You know, I worked with myself in it. And you're wanting connection, but your honesty is what helped me be initiated into that choice. You know?
Yeah, and this is where the double initiation happens. You know, this is the episode of how the masculine initiates the feminine. And the cool thing about learning these right ingredients, these helpful ingredients, is it's in a lot of these moments, it's a double initiation. Because me finding that clarity and power in myself and learning how to bring words to what my inner experience is going to help you feel safer. And this comes from David Data's work and all, the people and, before us that, led men's work and all these things and relational work. Talks about this, that the feminine's going to respond to how she's feeling. So the masculine's orienting from what's factual and true and like what's measured with a video camera, like the objective truth. And for the feminine can be furious with the objective truth. Like that's not how, because inside your truth,
you're wanting to move towards connection. Because to me, it looks like you're mowing the lawn. Right? Is like what
or like standing there talking at me
instead of actually moving towards me.
Or just to name, and this is a prime example, because a lot of masculine are like, but I'm fucking doing it. Because there's been moments where I'm on the couch, I'm rubbing your back, I'm kissing your forehead, and still it's like, you're not connecting with me. But it's to highlight, can they feel it? Is it being received in the felt sense? Because that's what's true over there.
And are you feeling it in you when you're offering it?
Totally. Like, am I offering? The reason I wanted to highlight the feeling part, because go back to what the initiation was there. You received what I offered in the clarity, and then I got back the information of, wow, that was so helpful that that was actually really attractive that you were so aware of what was happening inside of you. I didn't know that. And you telling me that was so helpful, and it helped me open up. And then you wanted to meet me. Well,
that was me initiating you. 'Cause then I was like, okay, Mike is needing me to see him. He's needing me to, right?
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about, the double initiation. Yeah. Because then what happens on this side for the masculine, great, I just got data of, oh, that's all you're needing? That hasn't been clear. Like
it was not clear.
Yeah. Well, I mean on both sides, because for the masculine, their version is, that is not clear that you're just needing me to say what's happening in my body and that I'm offering over touch, but you need to hear that I'm frozen and slightly terrified while I'm doing it.
I need to understand why you look terrified of me right now. Like why your face is like,
yeah. And I'm
like, this isn't feeling connective.
Yeah. And so just naming this is a moment that we're describing here where there is a double initiation, because the masculine, there's two, to highlight it this way is no one's bad or wrong in this journey of sacred relationship. There's two realities happening. Both of them matter and they're both different. This is the process of seeking to understand the differences, and then what are the ingredients that are helpful to each side that leads to intimacy and closeness and feeling seen and heard and understood. Because knowing that data initiated so much more confidence of, I can do that. God, I can name that I'm, oh yeah, hey, and now it's like such an exciting thing on the regular that we get to practice where I'm like, hey, just if you're feeling anything from me, which shows care that there's a part on the other side tracking. Hey, like I'm kind of feeling sad today, or I'm in this moment where we're connecting. There's a part of me that's little. It's my little boy that's afraid of you. And it's not about you. It's about my past. Like that orientation is so softening, I've noticed for you as the feminine of like, oh, okay, he's got himself. He's in there. He's aware and he's showing care that's impacting me.
Yeah. And I would also say the ability to really like acknowledge my oracle. Like I can see that I've hurt you. I can see there's something I'm not offering here. Like whenever you can really acknowledge that part first and then point out, and like the way this conversation is going or how it isn't the right way for me.
That's right.
It's like, then it's when you can name both, that's the key. That's the key.
So now, just in the honor of time, to this juicy bit, are there any other pieces you want to speak to before we go to that?
Yeah, we were going to just talk about this key piece. It's a good segue, which is the other way that the masculine initiates the feminine is the masculine is not going to respond well to the feminine if she's doing things from like a controlling, aggressive, masculine way. And so the way that the masculine initiates the feminine is, if we really want our message to land, if we really want him to hear us, we actually have to learn how to do it in a juicy, inviting, seductive way. It's like, how do we like draw him in? And what the initiation is it'll be clear when you're not doing a good job of that. And the way the masculine can let you know that is actually stating that, giving reflection of like, I'm needing that in a different way. And for the feminine, that there can be that place when you're in the uninitiated place where you're angry about that. Like, why isn't he hearing me? Why isn't he? But in the initiated feminine, it's like, ooh, how can I invite him in? And so, for example, once I understood what was happening for Mike, then I moved into more of the juicy feminine, and I spent time like drawing him in. I spent time, shifting into how can I talk about this and share and meet him in a way that actually draws him towards me. And it worked. It ended in beautiful lovemaking, and I got what I wanted. And
we both got what we wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just connection and closeness and
and so the way that I was initiated, or I am initiated by Mike, is when he is resistant to something I'm asking for, or when he pushes against, or when the initiation is me getting a mirror of like, oh, that's not the way to invite it. And the gifting is that actually opens me as the feminine into being more aware of, am I in creative energy or destructive energy? Am I in the like juicy, inviting energy? And there's totally ways that I can do that every day, all day, where I invite him into what I'm wanting instead of moving towards and saying, hey, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. And I'd say that the masculine is initiating the feminine in that all over the place, all the time. And it's just, is the feminine able to take in that initiation and see it as an initiation? This isn't him being an asshole. This is him mirroring back to you where you're at and your ability to invite in.
Yeah, and just a name too, where the masculine's actually learning how to take responsibility for his power and use it in a way that would invoke relational ingredients that would bring him into wanting to provide even more. Because just to name it, for the feminine listening, every man out there is built with the programming in their DNA to provide and protect. And yes, there's the part where he's got to go take responsibility for that and be supported, learn, be initiated as a man. There's a process of getting help and support and the therapists and coaches, all the things, reading, educating. And there's a part that's in there that just does want to provide. That's why there's so many nice guys out there and these little boys driving the ship, because they've swung from, oh, I've created so much harm, to like, I'll do whatever you want. And so we're trying to, the masculine's trying to find this place of, where can I bring my power forward? I'm trying to find the middle. So many men are trying to find the middle, and they're wanting to call the feminine out of their little girl that's pissed, so that they can actually experience the part that's just innately in there, the healthy blueprint that just is learning to wake up of, God, if I can just guide and we can soften where this little girl shows up, and you can receive where I'm helping guide that process, I'll get back for myself. This is the radical self-responsibility part. I'll get for myself a softer, juicier feminine that I will be more attracted to, that I will want to provide more pleasure to, that I will want to provide more financially to. I will want to, wine and dine and date, and that's just, it's in us. We want to offer it, but we have to be received in the places we're trying to initiate.
Yes. And so it's like, the inner process is, well, shit, I'm doing not a great job of inviting the masculine in right now, obviously. Okay. Reapproach. And what an amazing gift to practice being more relational. It's a gift. And so then this also leads us into the juicy bonus. And what I would say is that one of the biggest ways that I am initiated, and I see this in other relationships too, by the masculine, is the level of sexual desire that the masculine embodies and sex drive that the masculine embodies. When I was in the uninitiated feminine, I felt threatened by that. I felt scared by that. I felt triggered by that. I felt resentful of that. And as I reached a place of more capacity in myself and initiation, I now see it as my greatest initiation, because it's something in the field that is continually saying, hey, I'm here. I want to make love. And it's inviting me into opening, into pleasure, into softening all the bits of me that are resisting life. Because, and it's saying, hey, Courtney, get in touch with your desire now. Get in touch. Like, if I, as the feminine, want to actually meet my masculine's sexual desire and my own, but if I want to meet that need in a healthy way, then I have to look at all the parts of me that are resisting pleasure, that are resisting my desires, that are like pushing my sexual energy down, that are like, oh, I don't want to do the work to open right now. I don't want to feel those feelings I haven't been feeling, because it's work. It requires a turning towards, and especially for the feminine in sexuality, the feminine has a really hard time being sexual if she's inauthentic in any way. And so to be sexual, to actually receive the masculine sexuality, she's got to fucking get real with herself. She's got to notice, oh, my hips are tight. Oh, like I haven't been taking care of, like whatever she's got to notice. Oh, I've got these feelings. Like, that's what it requires, and that is a gift. I think for the uninitiated woman, the sexual desire from the masculine is felt as pressure. And I know this in myself. And the initiated feminine, she sees it as a beautiful invitation that's saying, hey, are you ready to open that next level? Are you ready to move into that next layer of pleasure and abundance and opening? And not, I have to do that, but just, are you ready to practice? Are you ready to come into the practice? And I think that is a way that the masculine is initiating the feminine that gets overlooked, that's not seen, that gets belittled, that gets judged, that gets blamed. But it is a way that we're being initiated. And obviously, but I want to say it, that requires that we are being met by a masculine who can be respectful, take responsibility of his sexual energy, take feedback, be responsive to her boundaries. But what I want to say is the uninitiated feminine, what she'll do is she can almost use that as a manipulation too. Like, I want you to be what I want you to be, so I'm not going to have sex with you until you be what I want you to be. And this does happen lots. And the initiated woman, she actually wants to meet his sexual needs. But she's going to do it from her own seat. You know, it's like the other day when I said, Mike was like, hey, did you enjoy last night? And I looked at him and I meant this. I will never do anything that I don't want to do with you sexually. You can count on that. And that's the seat, right? Is like, I won't. And I want to meet your sexual needs. And thank you for the immensity of your sexual desire, because it's this continual invitation.
Yeah. And it's immense. And it's immense.
And it'll be a different spectrum for different men at different stages, right?
Yeah. It's immense. And I'm so grateful for you receiving the initiation of that and seeing it in that way and doing the work to get there, because there's men out there with little boys driving the ship, and they just want, they want to just feel their own pleasure. And there's a lot of men who are just wanting to bring that part of them that feels so empowering and good and wants to experience the feminine in pleasure. It's like, what beautiful gift to have is being alive and having a body to bring this power of and this biology to penetrate, And I'm just talking about my own experience. Like, it feels good to penetrate the physical embodiment of the feminine, because that's life. And if I can learn the ingredients and respond with all those things that you beautifully laid out of respect and attunement and care, and to be let in and to allow me to penetrate in that way, it gives me the experience of life. And wow, this is what it requires to lead well, to get into this place of actually getting to penetrate. Like, there's an initiation in both sides there. And what I've watched in you as a woman by receiving that initiation of being penetrated by that power is like immense, where I can see you moving towards your dharma more than you ever have, and you getting to experience a part of the feminine of like, whoa, that was like a little scary at first, but that was, wow, a lot of pleasure on the other side. Wow. Like, and from where I'm sitting, you get to experience so much more of yourself as like in the queen energy. Like, it requires a queen to like kind of just surrender to all the things that have probably impacted, in the past, opening that big and just be like, I'm going to trust, I'm going to trust this energy.
And especially it takes a queen to, like, the next level of initiation is to do that at 8:30 at night after parenting all day, right? Like, it's like, yeah, like, can you just still soften into pleasure? Can you still soften into opening? Can you feel the feelings you need to feel there? And like, what a beautiful invitation. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And it leads to such a deeper felt sense of connection and intimacy and joy. And yeah.
Thank you for initiating me.
Yeah.
In all the ways. Yeah.
Mm.
Thanks for being so fierce and loving.
Yeah.
Kind and present.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for receiving my initiation, the wisdom that emerges inside of me from my heart, from my body, and letting that in and letting that move you, letting that wake you up to your queen.
I can literally feel how your initiations help my energy mature so much more as the feminine. Like I can see it like expedites the maturing, you know? And it means I feel a lot more like I'm bringing my feminine creativity to the world, but there's like a solidity in it. It feels like there's like a solid, and I can feel other people feeling that initiation process with you in my field. And it creates a sense of confidence, of holding, of ground.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And the cool thing is on the other side, I can feel that palpable sense too of, in my field where like, oh, there's a queen in the field that is receiving the qualities that I'm bringing to initiate, but also there's a queen that has the capacity to that piece that we talked about early in the episode of also holding the tender part of the king and welcoming that and learning what it needs to initiate more of the man, more of the adult, more of the king. Like that's, yeah, what a gift to have this dance back and forth. Beautiful. Thank you all for listening and tuning into this juicy episode, how the masculine initiates the feminine into a queen. So good. And if you got value from this in some sort of way, what would be so appreciated from us is you going down, whatever platform you're using, give this a 5-star rating. Really helps this reach a larger audience so that this community can build. So grateful to all of you. Until next time. If you've been listening to this episode and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I really need the support around some of these pieces, we have just the thing for you. The Together community, Courtney and I have created a space where you get direct support from us. The beginning of almost every call, which are every 2 weeks, we go into a teaching and then we go into practices for you and your partner. And then there's an opportunity for Q&A and direct support. This has been a game changer. We are watching couples right in front of our eyes go from disconnected, pulling away from each other, not being able to make eye contact, to deeply bonding, laughing, caressing each other, kissing, and getting to really understand each other deeper, watching patterns just dissolve right in front of our eyes. If that's something that you're really wanting, oh my God, it's our lowest entry offer. It's only $155 a month. You can leave anytime you want. So you could even just go in there for 1 month, try it out. And if you don't get that and more in value, you can just opt out. So if you are interested in joining, I just want you to scroll down into the show notes, click that link, and hop in. And you're going to be taken to a landing page. It'll give you even more information. And we hope to see you on the inside.